So today, Pathways to Success, a webinar series. Today's focus is on sustainability. For all of our attendees who are currently watching the webinar, if you could please take a few moments to just scan the QR code on the bottom right of the slide, and just kind of give us your insights into sustainability, before we engage our guests today. What we're going to cover today is very basic. We're going to have a quick welcome, which we're doing right now. We're going to have 25 to 30 minutes to talk to our panelists who will meet here shortly. And then we're going to have 10 minutes at the very end for any kind of question and answers we want to kind of run through. And to submit your questions, you're going to want to put those in the bottom right. There's a Q&A section. Feel free to enter in your questions. And we'll get, like I said, we'll get to them at the end. But first and foremost, I want to introduce our first panelist, Mr. Byron Kominek. He is the executive director of Jack's Solar Garden, and we'll let him kind of elaborate more on what he does there at Jack's Solar Garden here in a moment. And our second speaker today is Alex Moore-VanDyke, a policy analyst for the city of Broomfield. I'm going to stop sharing my screen real quick. And let's hear from Alex. Do you want to start us off and kind of tell us more about yourself?
Yeah, so thanks for having me today. I'm excited to be here. My name is Alex Moore-VanDyke. And yeah, I work for the city and county of Broomfield as a sustainability policy analyst. A semi-recent new role for me as I started off as the sustainability coordinator. And then have branched into policy analyst. So just within the last 2 years that I've been working for the city and county. But yeah, to give just like a quick background on education and professional experience kind of leading me here, if that's all right, if I can go into that now.
Go for it.
Cool. So yeah, so I have a bachelor's degree from Texas A&M. So I'm born and raised in Texas, but got out to Colorado as soon as I could, 6 months before COVID. Great timing. But yeah, it was a great degree, good general knowledge, environmental geosciences. It's a big name, but just very broad knowledge about the environmental sciences. But it was really hard finding a job for me graduating. The original job I got was in the environmental industry, but it was really just kind of packing chemicals and driving them to be incinerated. So fascinating job right out of college. But from there, it was kind of a who I know and who I met. So one of our job sites was actually at NASA Johnson Space Center down in Houston. There were a handful of Aggies who worked there, met them, heard that they were opening some jobs up. So I applied, was able to get a job there, and hung out there for a couple years, and then wanted to go into environmental consulting, wanting to get kind of a more broader range of knowledge. I was doing a lot of hands-on environmental work at NASA, doing like waste, stormwater, wastewater, air permitting. But getting the environmental side, consulting side, really kind of dove into a lot of plan writing and understand like why I was doing what I was doing at NASA. So it was really interesting. And that company allowed me to do continual education and like tuition reimbursement. So instead of kind of like diving into like a next phase of like grad school or like even a full professional like certification, I actually did like a quick kind of like online 3-month course through MIT. Sounds big, but it was just kind of like understanding strategies and opportunities within industry. So that kind of like I feel like got me kind of an in for the sustainability world. It was a great stepping stone. And again, I didn't like have to commit to grad school, which was great because I'm like still like, what do I want to do? But yeah, so from there, I was able to kind of transfer up to Denver with that consulting company, got some more sustainability work kind of under my belt with consulting, and then saw that Broomfield was hiring a sustainability coordinator, reached out, and and took the leap, and they were willing to take the leap too. And it's been yeah, a great 2 years, and I'm excited for, even though we're a small team, we're growing, and excited that they were able to offer that opportunity to me.
That is awesome. I started to pause you because you were going so deep. I was like, wait, you got to save it for the rest of the questions.
Oh gosh, I'm
Uh,
so sorry.
but no, you're fine. You're completely fine. So that is so far that is an amazing journey that you've shared with us, and we're going to ask more questions about that. I'm going to jump over to our next panelist, our speaker, Byron Kominek. Byron, you want to give us a little bit of feedback of who you are?
Yeah, I'm Byron. Um, so yeah, Byron Kominek, owner and manager of Jack Solar Garden just south of Longmont. I run the Colorado Agrivoltaic Learning Center. It's a nonprofit arm of what we do to teach people about land stewardship and solar arrays. As solar arrays get built out, we can do better to keep our lands active underneath of them. We don't have to stovepipe how we choose to build out different industries. We can figure out how they can work together. And often we'll find that there are synergies that better helps our society. My career path has been wandering from a degree in biomedical engineering to a couple years studying, or a couple years teaching in the Peace Corps in West Africa, teaching physics to peanut farmer kids, to graduate school for environmental engineering in North Carolina, back to Africa and Ghana for a research project on biosand filters, bouncing back and forth to Africa for a number of years with Doctors Without Borders, or as a diplomat with the U.S. Agency for International Development in Zambia and Mozambique, working on forestry and wildlife conservation with your taxpayer dollars. And then, yeah, I moved out to my family's farm just south of Longmont in 2016 after hiking the Appalachian Trail, figure out a new way of life, and tried to figure out how we could farm our 24 acres and make any money in Boulder County, and saw that what we were currently doing really didn't do much for us economically, and came up with the idea of building a solar array, followed by, can we actually keep the land underneath of it viable and useful for agriculture. Got that going in 2020, built the solar array, and have been in operation for the past 4-ish years. And now we are known across the country as probably the premier site for agrivoltaics within the country.
That is a fantastic story. And if folks don't know anything about Jack's Solar Garden, we're going to be sharing out some details here. Maybe I'll put some things out there for us to kind of link off to, but it's certainly, you definitely want to kind of check their location out and run through their website. We're going to kind of run through a couple of different questions for everybody. Byron, I'm going to stay with you because I have you on screen. You both kind of share details about your pathway, how you got to where you are today. And as you know, for the listeners of today's webinar, one of the main reasons we do these is to showcase that it isn't always a very clear path. There's lots of things that connect us to where we end up and where we end up working and what we end up doing. But Byron, can you maybe share with us for your career path, what are some things that surprised you along the way?
I've learned that the only thing that you can control in this world is yourself and your outlook on it and how you interact with the outside world. Because sometimes there's an economic downturn that you have no control over, and it's just society that's not hiring anybody that's fresh into the workforce. So that hit me in 2009, 2010, and I was unemployed for a year and a half, even though I was spoke multiple languages, had a master's degree in engineering, and couldn't get my foot in the door as an intern to many engineering companies. So there was not much I could do about that, even though I beat myself up about it for quite a while. Outside of that, be open to different opportunities. It's hard to know exactly what you want to do in this world until you've gotten to see as many different options as there are out there. And somebody might tell you, you know what, you're great for that. But if all you've ever done is that one thing, then you have no idea that there might be another 1,000 things out there that are of interest to you. So go out, learn from other people about what they do, what's of interest, and you might find that you can either do both or that you might want to switch career fields. The more open-minded you are about how others do their work, how others live, maybe the more interesting that you'll find your life being.
That's solid advice. I'm going to switch over and ask Alex the same thing.
Yeah, so, kind of touched on it a little bit, but my career path was certainly not as I expected, especially like in college, getting my undergrad and then graduating. Mine was a couple years after Byron, but still graduating college, it was looking a little bleak in terms of where I could work or where I wanted to work. My kind of thought when I graduated was to have like three directions that I could go in. I could work for like the state environmental department, so like the TCEQ, or up here as CDPHE. Another big option being down in Houston was working for oil and gas. And personally, that was never really the realm I wanted to dive into. I still ended up working a little bit with oil and gas from the consulting side of things, but again, it was helping or doing my best to help oil and gas companies maintain their regulations within the environmental space. But again, yeah, it was a roundabout way to get where I am today, as in sustainability and as even a policy analyst. But I wouldn't change it for anything. I feel like I've gained like such a broad array of experience and like different facets of like the environmental and sustainability industry that have really kind of helped me excel and have like made me even more excited to continue the like work I'm working on. But yeah, I think like also a lot of things that I've learned like don't come from a textbook, right? They teach you a lot of stuff in school about different bills and acts that have passed, but there's a lot of hard skills, obviously, to know, but I feel like soft skills have also been extremely important. I'm sure we'll probably touch on that a little bit further down. But as long as you kind of have good mentors and even like friends who can kind of help develop those and like grow you to where you want to be, then you'll be successful down the line. So.
Awesome. That's very good advice. Alex, I'm going to stay with you for this next question. You've kind of both of you have teased some things that you guys are involved with in a day-to-day basis. I'd love for you to share what does a day in the life look like for your current role? What are the things that you engage with, and maybe do connect some of those skills that you've developed over the years and how they've come in handy.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, my current job, day to day is kind of a great question. I'm not really sure what I do on a day to day because it changes all the time. But it's kind of two facets, the role I have. I do a lot of work with data, and also a lot of work allowing me to do research for like policy creation for sustainable initiatives. So when it comes to the data side, I'm looking at calculating our community's greenhouse gas emissions. So like how much carbon dioxide, all of our activities that burn fossil fuels like gasoline, diesel, natural gas emit into the atmosphere. I'm working on calculating those for the same thing for our municipal activities. So things like our buildings, how much energy our buildings generate and use, and our fleet vehicles and trash. But on the other side of things, I'm looking at, policy creation. So doing research, but being able to also be flexible and adapt to the ever-changing environment is very key. I've learned that through the consulting world as well as the surprisingly fast-paced but also slow-paced world of government. Everything becomes a fire until it's not. But I've definitely made it a point to have regular discussions with my manager on priorities, which I feel like it took me a while to understand that like usually everything that I have to do is not usually a fire. If I talk about how I need to prioritize things, sit down, have a conversation about it, and realize that some things can take a back seat, but that's just kind of like who I am. Everything I like to be like, or I like to just be, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know. I'll skip past that. But yeah, we'll end it on that.
So time management,
Yeah.
so yeah, there's always, that's it. Maybe we'll sum it up like that.
Yeah.
Byron, what about yourself? Your day to day, Byron?
I think with everybody, it kind of varies. I wear multiple hats like many people do. I have a farm that first thing in the morning, you go out, take care of the animals. Takes maybe 30 minutes, let the ducks and geese out, and go check on the sheep, give them food, check their water, and go about the workday. Workday consists of checking in with my team, either by text, phone calls, Zoom meetings, whatever that may be, followed by my work of reaching out, speaking with folks about what we do here at the farm of agrivoltaics, trying to convince folks that improved land stewardship should not be undervalued within our society, that as we build out and we use more land, that we need to think about how it continues to function thereafter. Spend time reviewing timesheets twice a month, to going over consulting contracts, to setting up consulting contracts. I already talked about speaking, doing during the growing season, a lot of tours, events that we set up. I do a lot of talking. Did I mention I talk a lot? I talk a lot. That's a lot of this job.
It's education.
Yeah, I mean, even through my fundraising, like we're trying to get more donors to help support what we do, and that requires talking and emailing. I prefer to get off email as fast as possible to get on a phone call with everybody. I know this day and age, everybody loves the Zooms and the Teams, but I much rather just hop on a call and talk with somebody versus staring at them awkwardly through a computer. So,
Kind of like
yeah.
this.
Kind of like this,
Yeah.
Matt.
Okay. Well, this is a perfect segue. Let's talk about soft skills. So, and if there's, you talked about the farming and kind of the business side of what you do there at Jack Solar Garden. I'm really curious how all those things interplay with the actual your solar panels, or like the solar farm component of things. If there's anything you do, if you partner with any local communities and the power that you generate from those solar panels. But then if you could also just move into like what you were alluding to. You were starting to talk about soft skills and the things that are, and Alex, you did too, kind of getting into some of those time management or some of those other things. Can you maybe talk about how soft skills come into play for some of those things?
We have a variety of partners out here at Jack Solar Garden, Colorado State University, University of Arizona, National Renewable Energy Laboratory, Sprout City Farms, which is a nonprofit farming organization, Wish Garden Herbs, that's a herbal business, Audubon Rockies, a nonprofit, that we work with all those different institutions to make what we share with people more valuable. If it was just us on our own doing it, we have a smaller budget and a smaller team, smaller set of technical skills, but by using soft skills to find partners and folks that are like-minded, and figuring out how we can work together and get through the conflicts that inevitably arise between two people, we can have a better project. Soft skills I value are conciseness, getting to the point, and saying it in a way that is as least offensive as possible to get your point across. Sometimes people find bluntness as being rude, but oftentimes I find that it's timeliness. I don't need to take up your time unnecessarily, and I hope other folks don't take up my time unnecessarily. So get to the point. To me, that's a soft skill that is quite useful. Other soft skills are knowing knowing how to make other people feel comfortable. How you greet them and how you spend a moment just talking about the family, talking about other things that are important in life outside of just getting the job done. If you're there to just get the job done, then we're no different from a robot. but when you start to care a little bit more about somebody else, take a moment, then that helps out. It doesn't have to be at odds with my idea of getting to the point.
I love that. And as a blunt, direct person, I appreciate it. And there's all kinds of careers out there that take people who are blunt or direct. There's a lot of technical jargon out there, and the people that need to come in, look at that technical jargon, and explain it to others. Those are fantastic careers for taking a lot of information, distilling it down into understanding for folks and sharing information. Alex, what would you say on the subject of soft skills?
Yeah. I mean, I think building up and developing your soft skills is extremely important, not just in the world of sustainability, but any career path. And I would say I wouldn't be where I am today without developing stuff like good communication, having the ability to work with a team, adaptability, problem solving. I think that really helps you to connect with others, to share ideas effectively, and to navigate challenges, especially as a team, especially on my team, which is so small. So yeah, in my role as a policy analyst, I often have to explain or try to explain policies and programs in a way that people from different backgrounds and education levels can understand. So that's, talking with city council members, that's talking with coworkers, talking with residents. Clear communication is truly key. And teamwork is equally as important. We have to work with basically every other department within the city and county. Sustainability is truly embedded, or should be embedded, in everything that we do at the city. To community groups, so talking with the chamber, talking with other nonprofits, Broomfield Fish, to help implement projects. That means, being a good listener, being open to ideas and suggestion, and, being able to work to find that common ground is truly important. So the more you kind of practice and work on developing those, and the more comfortable you'll feel. So that, they aren't something you like hear about or learn once and like forget them. It's kind of like you just want to continue strengthening them throughout your whole life, because they'll help you to go farther no matter what you do. So
That's awesome. I want to bring up something, I would love to get into we're talking sustainability today, and you guys run in it's probably a lot of the same circles when you're talking about, what's careers in sustainability. And there's a lot of good news coming from the state of Colorado as far as sustainability is concerned. Like what jobs or career paths are in demand in sustainability right now, and then like what do you foresee in the near future of jobs that are going to be in high demand here in Colorado when we're talking about sustainability or even skills trades? Alex.
Yeah. So I'm glad you brought up on the trades, because that is a huge piece of where kind of sustainability is growing, and what is needed is skilled employees in the trades workforce. Basically, I'll try to explain this in a way that makes sense, because even my brain is still trying to wrap my head around it. But basically, there's this term it's called beneficial electrification, and that's like the idea of replacing fossil fuels, so again, like gasoline, natural gas, diesel, with electricity in a way that reduces overall emissions and energy costs. So there are like examples of electrification are like replacing a natural gas burning water heater, or your heating system within your home or building, installing solar panels so you're not using like grid electricity, switching from a gas-powered vehicle to like an EV, an electric vehicle, or a hybrid. Those are all kind of examples of electrification, and there are a lot of goals set within the state, like very very ambitious goals set by the state, and a lot of cities and counties are following the state's lead in trying to reach our goals of reducing greenhouse gas emissions. And this electrification pathway is kind of the biggest way that we're going to reduce those emissions. But with that comes the need for people who are able to do that work of replacing water heaters with a heat pump water heater, replacing a natural gas heating system in your home with an air source heat pump. And these are all kind of also newer terms and newer technologies that like I'm still getting familiar with, which means like a lot of the workforce is also still trying to get familiar and to educate themselves on these newer technologies. But there is like an unprecedented surge in demand for like skilled and diverse workforce who are like able to do this work of transitioning to a cleaner, more sustainable energy source, not just in Broomfield, but all across the state. So jobs in electrification are like highly sought after now and will definitely continue to be for like the next 30 to 50 years at least. And workforce development programs are learning this. They're figuring out that this is a huge in need, I guess, skill for employees coming into the workforce. So I would say also workforce centers are like a huge piece, like to reach out to them to help to understand kind of what exact jobs or companies are hiring and kind of what trainings are also out there in that industry. So
That's perfect. I can tell you right now that the Boulder Chamber and Workforce Boulder County are looking at this intently and exploring opportunities for young folks or people looking to change careers in electrification and heat pumps. And would you say that these are careers that necessarily need a 4-year degree, or are we looking at 2-year degrees and certifications?
yeah, I would say like 2-year degrees and especially like certifications, that's where it's at. There's a lot of unions out there who are also working on growing their programs and are trying to get people in, whether they've been in industry or are looking for a career change or are coming into the workforce brand new out of high school. Basically any level people are looking for, yeah, skilled laborers in this area. So, yeah.
Beautiful. Byron, what are you hearing? What are some of these jobs that we need to be focused on for today and for the future when we're talking sustainability, skills trades, those types of things? Or even on your farm, like what are you in high need of at your location?
I'll start by saying I hire based on someone's technical ability, followed by their uh, soft skills, followed by their knowledge of other areas. I want people on my team that understand how to do the job, that I won't have constant conflict, or at least if I have conflict, I can easily resolve it with them. And that also can push me into figuring out other new areas. If all they know is that one little facet, then I can essentially just use them for that one thing. But I want to have people on my team that understand multiple facets. So once they get up to speed there, they can help me out with other areas and think differently. So having being interdisciplinary with good interpersonal skills is something that I always look for within the workforce. As far as what jobs and careers, sustainability consulting a lot of big companies love to hire folks for that. I got some good friends that are in sustainability consulting, and it pays pretty well. From greenhouse gas emission inventories to modeling how folks can better electrify their various industries, whether they're like in shipping to even oil and gas industries that are interested in this component. Colorado, I hear from the state that there's going to be a big push into geothermal, so that'll be an area of interest. You'll be able to see more folks that are geologists that are going to get hired into that area. I know there's a lot around transportation. How do we make transportation cleaner, more circular, more accessible? So it'll be interesting to see how that rolls out. Depending on the codes that different counties and cities and states decide to go for how we build our homes, you could have more opportunities for sustainability in home design and construction provisions. Unfortunately, a lot of homes are still being built that require lots and lots of natural gas to stay warm during our cold winters, whereas they could be designed in ways to require less over the long term. But there we are. So I think sustainability, jobs and sustainability really, really, really are going to depend on policies and government regulations.
So, we've talked about a lot of the hands-on careers in sustainability and skills, but as Byron alluded to, there's going to be a lot of marketing jobs or public relations, communications, those, education, those types of careers that are also steeped in sustainability to make sure people understand the technology or the need for those types of things. So that's pretty great. Byron, I'm going to stay with you. Long term, so each of you have kind of shared like where you are in your career. What are long-term goals for Jack Solar Garden or for yourself, or yeah, just in that same vein, what's the long-term goal for Jack Solar Garden, for Byron, as it pertains to sustainability and your local community even?
I think what's important is understanding what's enough for you. I know in our society, oftentimes people are very interested in how much more can I get, more, and then you never really feel satisfied. I think an objective that folks should have is just figuring out what's enough within your career, within your personal finances, within your personal life. I hope to settle that out myself, of knowing that my farm is enough, that the work that we do out here is enough for me, that I don't need to build new solar arrays. I don't need to become a massive conglomeration of a business to feel like I've accomplished something in life. The Elon Musks in the world are far and few between. The rest of us can be satisfied with what we have. I think I would like to keep having Jack Solar Garden producing the electricity, hopefully get re-energized after our contract comes up with Xcel Energy, continue selling power, hopefully being beneficial to our community in terms of producing food, being inspiration and clean energy. Future for me, this might not be the right platform for it, but I love government, and I think government is how we operate in this world. Without it, I have lived in countries where government is scant and you cannot have functional businesses where there is no government. I would highly recommend people go visit West African and Central African countries to see what no government means. It is a terrible thing. So I would love to have opportunities to help support my communities more by getting back into government one day.
Awesome. Well, keep us apprised of those goals, and maybe we'll see you up there one day. Alex.
Yeah, good to know, Byron. I'll keep you on the list. Yeah, I think for me, I would say that like I really found the job I'm in now to give me like life and purpose. I mean, it was great like in the consulting world, but I really enjoy kind of seeing my work. I don't know what this means about me, what this says about me. But I really enjoy like seeing my work kind of like do good and see the impact it has and can have on a pretty regular basis. I mean, government work is, like I kind of alluded to, it's fast, but it's slow. There's a lot of steps and a lot of hoops you have to jump through, whether it's like through your own team, through your department, being able to take it higher to the city manager's office, which is the next step before it kind of reaches city council, which is then before it reaches the residents. So there's a lot of steps, but the work that we're doing is in hope to improve the lives of the residents in Broomfield in the most equitable way possible. And also, like, climate change knows no boundaries, right? So the rules and policies and initiatives that we're trying to set in Broomfield, Boulder's trying to do the same, Superior's trying to do the same, right? It's like we're all going down the same path together, because if we don't, it's just going to put Broomfield behind, and that's not where we need to be. We're already kind of behind, which, sustainability can also feel like a little bit of doom and gloom sometimes, but I feel like the work that I'm doing kind of helps, again, like re-energize me and tries to put a better positive spin on the things that we're doing. So it's exciting. And, long term, I just hope to just continue advocating for the work that we're doing, to help really show folks the good that comes from this. Sustainability doesn't just mean increase in property taxes, it's going to cost you money, blah, blah, blah. That's not really what the end goal of sustainability is. I think, just continuing to learn, continuous improvement, taking on additional kind of responsibilities and kind of, I don't know, seeing what other cities and communities are doing and kind of pulling those ideas and initiatives to Broomfield to see if that's something we can enact, excites me. And I think that also excites the people I work with and city council too. So.
That's awesome. Those are good goals. We have some folks on today. I mean, there are lots of folks on the webinar today that might be curious, how do I get involved with sustainability, or what skill sets should I be developing at a high school age, at a college age? Can you maybe elaborate, from your perspective, what should, someone who's looking to go into sustainability, whether it be in a skills trade or like yourself, like working with data and or grants or government, what are some things that these students or these folks can be doing today to build themselves up for sustainability careers in the future?
Yeah, well, I'll definitely say that, like, and I think you kind of touched on it a bit, Matt, like pretty much like any career path you choose can have a sustainability aspect to it. Like Boulder County, Denver County, they have like a whole specific marketing team around sustainability and how to like reach residents in a fun and knowledgeable way. So even if you're like, you want to go to college for marketing, well, fun fact, you can go into a career path in sustainability with a marketing degree. Again, environmental science, if you want to go to college for that, you can end up in sustainability world. I mean, same with like, biomedical engineering. I mean, there's just different ways that you can get to be in the realm of sustainability. And again, like I was saying, the trades work that you don't have to go to college for that, right? Which is even better. And you can get in and get out and be making money, within a couple years, and also cost less money than an undergrad degree these days. But I think networking is key. Like if you attend organizational meetups, high school, college, it's a great way to get your foot in the door. Like especially on the Front Range, there's a newer organization called Women in Sustainability, a great way to meet people. Same with Colorado Sustainability Professionals, also a newer emerging organization, but people from kind of all walks of the sustainability industry are attending these organizations. And I've met a lot of people in college who are just trying to meet people and to understand what they do, to see if that kind of would be a role they would want to go in post-college. Other good organizations are like the U.S. Green Building Council, USGBC. They have an emerging professionals organization. Colorado Renewable Energy Society, also great. I would say another great way to like meet people, to also kind of network through that is through volunteering even. Organizations on the Front Range like We Don't Waste, Protect Our Rivers, like doing river cleanups, Arbor Day Foundation. It's all just ways to, again, meet people, to introduce yourself, and to see if that's an area or potential career path you might want to go down.
Oh my gosh, you listed so many different organizations in there, and I thank you for that. Because what we're going to do is when we post this out on YouTube, whenever the final production is done, we'll list all those different places in the comments or in the notes, the description of this particular video. So thank you for doing that. I was actually going to ask you if there was anything specific, and you nailed it. So, Byron, what about yourself? What's some advice you would give folks at this time? Like what can they be doing to make themselves more skilled, up to speed, knowledgeable as they look to potentially pursue career paths in sustainability or even skills trades like electrification, solar panels, those types of things?
In my mind, nothing risked, nothing gained. You got to put yourself out there to figure out where you fit in the world. If you're interested in the trades, then go get at it. Don't wait for others to hand it to you. I try to tell people don't get into perilous debt, because that's the main thing that's going to impact a really long time frame in your life. But you got to think about what do you want in this world? What do you want out of it? You want to sit behind a desk every single day of the rest of your life? Maybe that's what you want. Then figure out how to go for it. If you want to have a life that's more out there in the world, and figure out how to take a leap, take a step in that direction, sort it out. But you have to make a change. You have to do something different, probably starting as soon as you can. So you just have to make a choice and step in that direction and go with it for a while. I think a lot of people this day and age get stuck in the numerous options that are out there, and we just get inundated with them. Yeah, and you just got to pick something and move forward. You can make a change later on. You don't have to be stuck in that one thing. Just get started.
That's good advice. I'm going to pause this there and basically thank both of you for answering all these different questions. We have folks watching the webinar. I have not seen any questions come up in the Q&A, but I'm going to take a few seconds. I'm going to reshare my screen just to kind of instructions on how to go about doing that. I'll also see if I can't, put my information somewhere in the chat or in the Q&A, so that if you have questions that you can't think of, that we can add them to the final production of the video, so we can continue having these conversations for folks. So look out for that. All right. Well, if we're not going to get any questions here, I'm going to stop sharing my screen again. Give it 2 seconds. I think I can come up with a very interesting question, maybe, or two. Alex, I'm curious about anything specific that's coming down the pike. You mentioned electrification. What is the current situation in Boulder or even Broomfield County about supplying those specific employers that are trying to hire? Are you hearing anything from employers about what they're trying to look for in talent when they're looking for those career paths? Are they giving you any insight of who they're trying to hire or bring in to educate in these new these new technologies, these new components?
Yeah, great question. So what we're hearing basically, and again, I kind of am coming back to the skill trades because it's just such an important piece that's going to be key to help the whole state, the whole Front Range, be able to move towards reaching our emission reduction target, which it is important to hit those goals, but it's on a broader scale, right? It's for a healthier, more comfortable community, creating that, multimodal transportation that can get you from Denver to Boulder to Longmont to Fort Collins in an effective manner, to live in a healthier, safer building, right? All of these are impacts of reducing our greenhouse gas emissions, right? And so again, from that, the skill trades are just a huge piece of that we're really working to get the word out on. And we actually we being not me, but the Front Range won a huge grant, just under $200 million, to basically work for full-scale electrification, especially in our low-income disadvantaged communities, to bolster energy improvement advisor programs, create additional financial incentives, and workforce development. So within that workforce development piece, there's going to be approximately $10 to $20 million of grant funding that will be used to create new and upskilled electrification jobs. And how we can get to those jobs is by building up additional certifications, additional training for these new workers coming into the workforce. And that will have an impact of about, basically, the hope is to have about an additional 5,000 to 12,000 contractors trained, which is a huge influx of opening jobs that will be available. So, I was saying that, there's a huge push for this, and it's true because there's money coming in to help really bolster the trades workforce in the Front Range.
That's exciting. So it's safe to assume that there are going to be some great opportunities coming out of this funding in the near future. So if you're watching this webinar, keep your eyes and ears open for opportunities for apprenticeships, for internships, for workshops, and things of that nature. So, Byron, I'll leave you with one last question. I'm sorry, I'm trying to cycle through all my people. It's like revolving chairs. So lots of different solar, are solar panels getting less expensive these days? So, I mean, are we going to start seeing more solar panels on residential homes than we have in the past? Are we going to are we going to start seeing more municipalities supporting, or are there going to be more incentives at the state level for solar panels?
Those are really good questions. I'm not sure if solar panels are going to get much cheaper than they are. I think we saw it like declining in the past couple of years. It's just kind of gone flat or increased, kind of depending on what policies are in places in different parts of the world. And then putting solar panels on your rooftop really depends on what local jurisdictions are trying to advocate for. And it's going back to my government talk.
Yeah.
A lot of utilities really don't want solar on your rooftops because they are interested in selling you their electricity, not you producing your own electricity. Whereas electricity produced as close to where it's being consumed, that makes most sense for society, because then we need fewer transmission lines and it's less wear on our transmission lines. So it's that balance between how do you keep utilities functional while still being able to have residents that want to put solar panels on the rooftops, and getting solar as close to where it's being used as possible. I'll make that allowable and functional. And then you have utilities that start putting into place different policies that might make it less appealing economically to put solar panels on your rooftop. And that's a headache in itself. Or you have the other opportunity. Matt, I can keep going on this. Like
Yeah.
California,
No,
they require solar panels on your rooftops, but now people are paying for others to take away their solar energy. So
so
it's
that's that.
everywhere.
No, that's good. That's good to know. It's the last thing I'll ask, and then we'll sign off because I think we're right there at the end. Um, with data centers and and all these all these different components coming in, there's going to be a massive need for energy. There's going to be energy across the board. There's nuclear, there's oil, there's all these different things. Is solar going to have a place in that space here in Colorado, you think, for data centers and those types of things?
Yep, for a long term. All right. I think if we have folks that can help us figure out how to use less energy for all those things, those people will be in high demand.
Right. There'll be more need for those career paths.
Yes, energy
Yes.
efficiency.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Perfect. Well, Alex and Byron, I want to thank you both for being on today's call. I'm going to end it a little bit early before the 3 o'clock mark. I'm not seeing any questions in the Q&A. I'm going to double check one last time, make sure I didn't miss anything. There's nothing in there. But what we will do is we'll post this video on the YouTube channel. We'll be sharing that out across social media and our website. But again, thank you both for being here today. And we appreciate you. And we're going to call it a day.
Awesome. Thanks so much for having me.